official legal memo. It's a white paper. Does that have any legal significance or implications?
Well, you know, some people have been saying that this is a kind of transparency, that the administration, through these kinds of leaks, is giving the public the ability to assess the strength of the administration's legal arguments. And the truth is that this is really just a briefing document. It's not a legal memo. It does tell us a little bit about the authority that the government is claiming, but the actual legal memos are still secret. We've been litigating for those memos now for 18 months or 2 years. The administration has refused to release them. We've just appealed one case to the Second Circuit here in New York, to the appeals court here in New York.
Can you explain the case? What is the case that your organization, the ACLU,
So there are two Freedom of Information Act cases that we're litigating right now. One is here in New York, and the other one is in D.C. One of them is an effort to get the legal memos. We're litigating that case with the New York Times. They have a parallel request. The other case, which is in D.C., is about principally civilian casualties, the question of who has been killed in these drone strikes, because the administration has not released numbers, and we're reliant on the work of very good organizations outside the administration to do that kind of work. We think that the administration should release its own numbers.
And who's been killed? You mean U.S. citizens and non-U.S. citizens?
Right, absolutely. So most of the people who are being killed in these drone strikes aren't U.S. citizens, right? There have only been 4 U.S. citizens, 3 in 2011, 1 in 2002. The rest have been non-citizens, killed, some of them in Pakistan, some of them in Yemen, some of them in Somalia. According to the figures of the Bureau of Investigative Journalism in the UK, we're now talking about somewhere on the order of 4,000 people who've been killed with these drones. And the administration still hasn't released the legal memos that purport to justify that program. So one of the cases that we're litigating, the one here in New York, is the effort to get that justification. This memo, this briefing paper, provides us a little more information about that justification, but it's not the justification itself. For the same reasons that the government was right in 2009 to release the torture memos, we think the government should release the targeted killing memos.
Let's get specific. I saw you in Sundance at one of the premieres of Jeremy Scahill and Rick Rowley's film called Dirty Wars, The World is a Battlefield. And it tells the story, among others, of Abdurrahman Alaki, 16-year-old kid born in Denver, killed in a drone strike 2 weeks after his father was killed in a drone strike in Yemen. Talk about his case and how this relates. Right. When does the U.S. stop? What is the justification for killing this 16-year-old boy?
Well, so 2 things about that. First, I think one of the most chilling aspects of the power that the government is claiming here is that they're claiming the authority to do all of this in secret, not just keep it secret from the courts or keep their justification secret from the courts, but keep the exercise of this power secret so they can carry out these killings of American citizens, among many others, without even acknowledging to the public or to any court that they have exercised that authority. And that really is a chilling proposition. But that's one thing, and that's one of the things that they've done in the Abdul Rahman case. They have failed to acknowledge that they actually carried out this killing, although everybody knows it to be true. But we have other litigation which we're doing with the Center for Constitutional Rights. It's a constitutional case on behalf of the 3 U.S. citizens who were killed in 2011, including Abdul Rahman, the 16-year-old. And that's a case in which we are raising claims under the 4th Amendment and the 5th Amendment, the Due Process Clause, arguing that the government does not have the right, again, except in these extremely narrow circumstances, to carry out targeted killings without judicial review. And the government's response to that lawsuit has not been to defend their authority on the merits. They're not actually saying we have the right to do this. They haven't actually filed any of those arguments in court. Instead, what they're arguing is this question of whether the government acted lawfully or not is a political question committed to the political branches, and the judges have no role to play, no role whatsoever to play in assessing whether the killing of an American citizen was lawful or not.
How does it stop? Where does it stop? You kill them in Yemen, American citizens and others, no trial, no charge. What about in the United States?
There's no line. You know, if you look at the memo, the briefing paper that was released yesterday, there's no geographic line. And you can remember how most of the country reacted when President Bush declared the authority to hold American citizens detained in the United States, most of the countries said, you can't be serious. You're going to treat the United States as part of the battlefield. You're going to detain American citizens inside the United States as enemy combatants. And now the Obama administration, if you accept the memo on its face, you accept the briefing paper on its face, the Obama administration is making, in some ways, a greater claim of authority. They're arguing that the authority to kill American citizens has no geographic limit.
I want to turn to comments made by John Brennan. John Brennan, who is Obama's counterterrorism advisor and now his pick for CIA director. He made these comments last May and publicly confirmed that the United States has used drones to conduct targeted killings overseas.
President Obama believes that done carefully, deliberately, and responsibly, we can be more transparent and still ensure our nation's security. So let me say it as simply as I can. Yes, in full accordance with the law, and in order to prevent terrorist attacks on the United States and to save American lives, the United States government conducts targeted strikes against specific al-Qaeda terrorists, sometimes using remotely piloted aircraft, often referred to publicly as drones. And I'm here today because President Obama has instructed us to be more open with the American people about these efforts.
That was Obama's nominee for CIA Director John Brennan speaking last May. Jameel Jaffer, your comments on what he said about drone attacks.
Well, this is I think, in some ways good timing for the release of this briefing paper because, as you mentioned, John Brennan has been nominated to head the CIA. There's going to be a vote on his nomination later this week. And some senators have said that the nomination should not go forward unless the administration is more forthcoming with its legal analysis, unless they release the OLC memo. And I think that's exactly right. The administration should release that memo. There are also open questions about the role that Brennan played in the torture program, and those questions, too, ought to be answered before the vote goes forward. I think it's good timing. There's some very serious questions that ought to be asked by...
Do you think the Democrats will be asking these questions of a Democratic administration?
Well, there were a group of senators yesterday that wrote to the administration asking for the release of the legal memo and seeming to connect the release of the legal memo to these votes, to the Hagel vote and to the Brennan vote, and I think that that's an important thing. And it was a group led by Senator Wyden. So I think that there are definitely senators who think this is important, and if people can make it known to their senators that they think it's important, I think that would be a very good thing.
And your thoughts on John Brennan being the CIA pick already 4 years ago when President Obama wanted to do it the first time around? He was forced to withdraw his name because there was such outcry.
Right. I mean, I definitely have reservations about it. I think that there are these questions, these important questions about his role in the torture program. And also, people have said that John Brennan is an advocate for transparency about the drone program. If that's true, now is the right time to release the OLC memo, the legal counsel memo. And I think that the debate about his nomination should be informed by whatever's in that memo.
We had a report in Headlines about Open Society Justice Initiative, and you're a fellow at the Open Society right now on leave from the ACLU, putting out a new report that's revealed a detailed look at global involvement in the CIA's secret program of prisons, rendition, and torture since 9/11. The initiative says 54 countries aided the CIA until President Obama stopped the program in 2009. It's called Globalizing Torture. Also reveals at least 136 people were held by the CIA during those years, the largest tally to date. How significant is this?
I think it's a hugely significant report. I think it's the most comprehensive report thus far about the people who were held by the CIA and what happened to them, and also the complicity of other countries in the CIA's program. Some of those other countries have begun to grapple with the question of accountability for their role in that program. As you know, the United States has not. The Obama administration has interfered with civil suits that seek to hold officials accountable for their role in that program, and it has failed to bring criminal charges against senior officials who supervise the program. But I think it's a very important thing what the Open Society Justice Initiative has done here, and I think that it will create pressure not just on other countries to begin to grapple with that question of accountability, but on the United States as well.
Final question on this issue of targeted killings. Is this President Obama